Welcome back. Today's episode is basically the genesis of who I am right now and my understanding of how I got to be this person. So I'm going to start by posing a question. What if the pain you spent your whole life trying to escape was actually shaping your purpose? Think about that. Because today we're going to talk about turning pain into purpose. Some of the people who love the hardest are the people who hurt the most. Some of the people who become healers, they once silently bled. And I would say probably most of them. And maybe, just maybe, your pain was never meant to end with you. I need you to hear that today. Because there are people listening to this right now who feel exhausted from carrying pain. Pain from childhood, pain from rejection, pain from loneliness. Pain from feeling unseen. Pain from feeling like nobody understood what was happening inside you. And if you're not careful, pain can turn into bitterness. It can close your heart. Pain can make you distrust people, and pain can make you hard, cold, and disconnected. But the truth is, there's always another path. It doesn't have to end that way. So you can let pain make you compassionate. You can let it make you empathetic, present, understanding, human. You know, compassion and empathy are based in the understanding of what it feels like to hurt. Because I'm very, very present to how that is. And I have personal experience with that. And in the beginning, it can turn you into somebody that points it at yourself, thinking you deserve it or something like that. Empathy is an understanding of how it feels for somebody. And the truth is, empathy and compassion don't just happen. They're developed. They're developed through the understanding of what it feels like to hurt. And then that knowing gives you the ability to be with somebody else when they're hurting and just hold space for them. You know, I think my purpose, I've always said, is to help people. And I'm starting to wonder if my purpose is actually the understanding that I know I can't take away another's pain, but my purpose is to make sure the people in my presence, and if maybe through my podcast and my social media, maybe people don't feel alone in their pain. People understand there's somebody out there that cares, somebody they may never meet, but you're not alone. See, the truth is, the same pain that could have made you bitter can become the reason you love people deeper. You know, like I said, my purpose, my why, it wasn't created in comfort. It was created in pain. Pain from lack. You know, I didn't have closeness. I didn't have care. I didn't have kindness as a child. From hurt. So many things I've been through. Deep pain. Came from emotional emptiness. I remember there was a year in my life, I think it was my early 20s, that not a single person touched me in a whole year. And I think it was like at halfway through the year, I just got curious to see how long this would happen. And I didn't have a single human hand placed on me for a year. And that just created this thought in myself that I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not special. There's nothing about me that would make anybody want to touch me. You know, so if you show up in my space and you're hurting in some way, I mean, professionally, I try not to like put my hands on people outside of my practice. But sometimes somebody comes along and they're hurting so much, I ask them if it's okay if I give them a hug. Because I don't want people to experience what I did. My why was created from really knowing what it feels like to struggle internally while pretending you're completely happy outside. And through all that pain that I lived in, I made a decision. I never want anyone around me to feel alone in their pain. If I have the ability to stand beside them, not to fix them, not to save them, and not to remove all suffering. Because honestly, some of the most, in fact, the most important, everything, every single massive lesson I've learned in life has come through hard things and pain. But the truth is, no one should have to feel abandoned inside that. See, my motto is I cannot remove your pain, but I can refuse to allow you to carry it alone. Let's talk honestly about pain for a minute because most people don't know what to do with it. Think about it like we distract, we numb it, we hide it, we laugh above it, we work through it, we train hard to distract ourselves. We pretend we're okay. Like, how are you? I'm fine. I'm fine. Meanwhile, inside the dialogue, maybe you have, maybe you not, but this was definitely me. What's wrong with me? Like, why do I feel this way? Why do I still hurt? Why do I feel so alone? Why does nobody understand? Why do I feel so empty even around people? And one of the hardest parts about emotional pain is how invisible it is. Because, people will applaud your strength without realizing your strength was born from survival. Some people mistake your strength for lack of pain when really your strength was built because of it. The truth is, I can't tell you the number of times somebody comes in to see me and I just see it in them. And it's not some cue that is probably most people are aware of. But when they get into my room, they sit down. I'm like, "Are you okay?" And they start crying. I'm like, "You saw that?" And like, "Yeah, I did." And see, the only reason I saw that is because I've been through it. I understand. I think back to my younger years, and there were moments where I felt deep emotional lack, not just materially, emotionally. Moments I needed connection, understanding, support, safety. And when you grow up carrying emotional pain, you start developing coping mechanism. You become hyper aware of people's emotion. You learn to read rooms quickly. You become sensitive to suffering, and you notice loneliness in people because you know what that feels like yourself. And what's fascinating psychologically is our greatest wounds often become our greatest sensitivities, and our sensitivities often become purpose. When I was about 13, we moved away from the town we lived in, to a new place, and right away I didn't fit in. And it's funny how young people find somebody who's feeling awkward or feels like they don't fit in, and that'll be their target. And I was a gentle giant, and I was a good target for them because I wouldn't fight back. And I remember when I was in school, in breaks, I would go and hide somewhere, get farthest away from other people as I could, because I know I was going to be harassed if I was around people. And I had no one to hang out with, by myself, in my head, talking to myself. And this was a time I was in this war with myself. But the problem was I was fighting on the wrong side. I was fighting against me. And I just keep on moving and hiding and moving and hiding. Because I just wanted a break from everybody attacking me. And I felt so incredibly alone. Now, eventually, I found the reframe that changed my life. Because pain is not punishment, always. Sometimes pain is preparation. Sometimes pain creates depth, and depth creates compassion. And maybe this will stick for you. People who have suffered deeply often become the safest places for other people to land. Because when you know what darkness feels like, you stop judging people who struggle in it. You stop saying over and over, get over it. And you start saying, I understand. I'm here. You don't have to pretend around me. And that's purpose. Purpose is often pain transformed into service. People who feed others probably once were starving, Think about Tony Robbins, who talks about somebody who came and brought them food at Christmas. And then as soon as he could afford it, he started preparing and delivering meals to families. And he does millions of them a year. People who encourage people often desperately needed encouragement themselves. And people who create safe places grew up without one. And I think the greatest gift that pain's given me was empathy, not sympathy, not feeling sorry for somebody. I heard it described best: sympathy, empathy, and compassion. Imagine there's somebody drowning in a pool, and you jump in and you start drowning with them. That's sympathy. Empathy is when you're standing on the edge of the pool and there's somebody drowning in front of you, and you go, I can see you're drowning. I know what that feels like. And compassion is when you reach down and you pull them up out. Empathy is the ability to sit beside someone who's hurting without trying to rush them out of it. Because healing is not forcing people to stop hurting. Healing is helping people feel safe to process it. The goal is not to become pain-free. The goal is to become pain-wise. There's a quote from Viktor Frankl that says, when we are no longer able to change the situation, we're challenged to change ourselves. And that's what purpose is. It's choosing, my pain will end with me. There's this powerful quote I saw a while And it says, you need to heal yourself so you don't bleed on people who did not cut you. There comes a moment in life when you have to decide, will this pain poison me or will this pain deepen me? Because unresolved pain has patterns. It creates anger, projection, defensiveness, disconnection, maybe even violence. And hurting people often do hurt others, but healed people heal others. And somewhere along the way, I realized something powerful. I could either spend the rest of my life asking, why did this happen to me? Or I could ask myself, how can I use this that I've lived through, to help someone survive theirs? And that question changes everything. And this line sticks. Purpose begins the moment pain stops being only about you. Think about it. Purpose begins the moment pain stops being only about you. Listen carefully. Helping people did not erase my pain, but it did give me meaning. And there's a huge difference, because meaningless suffering destroys people, but meaningful suffering transforms. I remember, I look, there's so many times in my life where I've had an opportunity to help someone. I remember I had a patient who was palliative, and they came in and said, "This is the last time I'm going to be able to see you." I said, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Why is that?" He says, "No, it's not about you. It's like I'm on a new medication, but it costs about $5,000 a month, so I can't afford it." And she was seeing me once a month, and I was just in transition and like getting ready to start a new clinic, and I didn't have a full caseload, but all I said was, "I guess you'll have to come see me twice a month now then." And she said, "Well, you don't understand." I'm like, "No, you don't understand. Like, I want to comp you. I want to please allow me to give you the gift. You come twice a month, every 2 weeks." And she's a very proud woman. She had a hard time accepting it. But she finally did. You couldn't have paid me enough money for the feeling that I got when I saw her coming in so tired and hurting, and when I saw her leaving with a pep in her step and a smile on her face. And yeah, she did pass, but you know what? In the time she was around me, she got to feel real, she got to feel human, and she got to feel better. So, how do we do this? How do we turn pain into purpose? First, stop asking why. Why did this happen? Start asking, what is this teaching me? Pain becomes powerful when it creates awareness. 2, don't waste your wounds. Every single experience you have holds wisdom. Someone else is currently drowning in what you've already survived. Your story matters. Your survival story may become someone else's reason to keep going. And one day, the story you tell about how you survived this may become somebody's survival guide. Learn to sit with people, not fix them. And this changed my relationships completely. Most people don't need perfect advice. They need presence. They need someone who says, you're not crazy, you're not weak, and you are not alone. Use your pain to increase compassion, not judgment. The people who judge struggling people harshly usually haven't processed their own pain. Pain process creates empathy. Pain avoided creates projection. Understand this deeply. Your pain gave you gifts too. Not gifts you would have chosen, but gifts nonetheless. Depth, sensitivity, awareness, emotional intelligence, compassion, resilience. These are the gifts that pain gives. You became someone capable of understanding human suffering more deeply, and that really matters. I want to speak to you directly right now, to the person listening who feels broken by your life. You are not broken because you hurt. You are human. And some of the strongest people in this world are carrying invisible pain while still choosing kindness. And that's strength. Your strength is not becoming emotionless. Real strength is staying loving after life gave you reasons not to. Do you know how powerful it is to go through suffering and still choose compassion? To go through loneliness and still be someone who checks in on others, to feel abandoned and become someone who feels seen. That's purpose. Your pain created capacities inside you, capacities for understanding, connection, depth, and humanity. And maybe that thing you hated most about your story will sometime become the thing that helps somebody survive theirs. So take a breath. Just slow down for a second. Think about your pain. Not the version you show the world, but the real version, the quiet version, the one you carry internally. Now ask yourself, what has this taught you? Because pain leaves wisdom behind. Maybe it taught you empathy. Maybe it taught you resilience. Maybe it taught you to appreciate connection. Maybe it taught you what kind of person you never want to become. And maybe your story's not over yet. Maybe pain is becoming purpose. Your wound is not your identity. What you choose to do with it becomes your legacy. So if you remember nothing else from this episode, remember this. You do not have to become bitter because life hurt you. You can become deeper. You can become kinder, more compassionate, more aware, and more present. And no, you cannot remove all the pain from this world. And I know I can't either. But maybe that's not the point. Maybe the point is making sure people don't suffer alone. And that's what this podcast is. And that's what purpose is. Standing beside people in the dark long enough till they remember there's light. One of my favorite quotes is, if you can't see on the bright side, I will sit with you in the darkness. And so if you're hurting right now, please hear this. Your pain matters. Your story matters. Your survival matters. And the fact that you're still here means your story is still unfolding. The most beautiful souls are often shaped by the deepest pain. And maybe one day, the thing that almost broke you will become the reason someone else survives. Keep going. You're not alone. I'm out here. Just keep on going and keep on building your own inner advocate.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Your Inner Advocate, a podcast by Kimen Petersen, formerly Conversations with Kimen. If you found value in today's episode, please follow, like, and share the podcast with someone who you think may benefit from it. You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and connect on Instagram at your_inner_advocate. Until next time, keep listening to and developing your inner advocate.